Hi, friends. Hello, Black women. So, these current times might be bringing up some money trauma for you, might be making you um, feel some feelings that we are going to talk about today. I brought in my special guest, Dr. Rocher, who's going to introduce herself to you in just a second. We're talking to Black women today who, whether it's because of a recent job loss or something else, are feeling money trauma and uh, money trauma feelings rise up in them and who don't want those feelings to be in charge of you, who don't want that previous trauma to run the rest of your life. We're talking to you today. Welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter, creator of House Sitter School, and the co-creator of Exodus Summit. And I help Black women take career breaks and sabbaticals, bop around the world as a nomad, move abroad while embracing ease. If these things sound good to you, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're gonna wait for you to do that. Okay, thank you. And then turn on notifications so that you'll be notified when I go live or when I have a very special guest. Hi, very special guest.
Hello there. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Dr. Rosché. I'm glad you're joining me today. Can you take a second and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes. So I am Dr. Rosché Brown. I am also known as the Doctor of Rethinking because I help people to remix their thinking so they can make money, they can manage their money, and they can multiply their money.
Yes. All of our favorite things. Okay. Yes. The making, the managing, the multiplying. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us today. When we start talking about money, automatically there are people who get a pit in their stomach who are like, oh, we don't talk about money. We shouldn't talk about these things. Why do you think it's important to talk about money? Not just to make the money, but why do you think it's important to talk about it and to get a handle on it and not be so secretive about money?
Yeah. So even giving a little bit more of my background, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, right? So, what I actually started noticing when I had my private practice was that a lot of people's, mental health issues were being exacerbated based on financial stress, right? So they go hand in hand. When our finances are not together, it'll cause us to find ourselves feeling more depressed, more anxious, more fear, and just heavy in our lives. And then I also recognize that our mental health issues will lead to us making poor money decisions, right? Sometimes we have stress difficulties, and it's more of a stress issue than a money issue. And so I think that it's very important for us to kind of put them together.
Okay, good. Yeah. Money magnifies a lot of problems.
Yes.
Right. Money problems magnify other problems.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So we're here to talk about how our previous financial trauma can impact us for going on forever and ever, but also how it might be rising up in us right now because of the way things are. So can you talk to us about what financial trauma looks like? And how do we know if we've experienced some financial trauma?
Yeah. So a lot of times financial trauma, when we're just talking about the mental health issues, sometimes you'll feel more anxiety, right? When it comes down to looking at your numbers or even looking at your money, even your paycheck, you find yourself feeling like that pit in the stomach, like you were talking about, right? Oh, and then that leads to avoidance, so we often will avoid. So you notice that if you're avoiding looking at your money, you might have some emotional trauma there. Just the fact that you're avoiding, you're feeling anxious anytime people talk about money. Even if you've had a lot of, money issues in the past, right? It could be relationship breakdowns. It could have been going from a 2-income household to a 1-income household. Okay. Some situations like that, like even going, get a divorce or whatever, that trauma would lead to a money trauma. A lot of times I notice that grief is a big thing for people. So when people are experiencing grief in their lives, it of course makes us disconnect from other things, right? Any kind of grief, but mainly if you lost someone, because of that attachment being gone, it also can lead to some trauma in your money. A lot of people won't even pay attention to their money just because of grief.
Okay.
That'll happen. Some people will also talk about, I have a couple of clients who've mentioned this, when somebody passes away, money becomes an issue. Grandma and them, passes away, who gets the money stuff, right? Money becomes a big thing. Like who's gonna be the executor of her estate? Who's gonna take the house? So all of that can cause like money trauma just because of that. Like because somebody was a loss. So people experience it from many different areas. I think currently in our current state, job loss is huge, right? Particularly for Black women who've been getting laid off at a high rate at this point, right? And that may be, some of you guys, whether you have been laid off or you can feel the energy in the work environment saying that I might be laid off.
Yeah.
That starts to make it rise all of your other emotional money traumas from the past.
Okay.
Right. When stuff was, didn't go well, or you made poor money decisions, wishing that you should have done something different in the past, now that you're at this place. So I think all that starts to rise even more because you're feeling more stress happening at this point.
Yeah. So that anxiety, that avoidance, and that like regret, you're saying that these are not normal states. This is not how people with a healthy relationship with money handle money.
Exactly. Yes. It is not healthy. Normally when I'm doing like presentations, I often will ask people, and you guys can think for yourself, what makes a good relationship? What are the ingredients in a good relationship? And we're talking about a good relationship, like a romantic partnership. It could be a parent-child relationship. We know that anxiety is not a good ingredient in a relationship. Avoidance. If you're not spending good time with that person, that's not going to create a good relationship, right? Feeling regret and guilt, walking on eggshells. All of those things are not good ingredients for a good, positive relationship. So we want our relationship with money to be positive. So those type of, ingredients are not the right ones, right? We want to, face our fears. It's okay to look at the numbers, to pay attention to them, have somebody walk alongside with you, right? You can either be in a group of other people who are fear-based as well. Y'all all come together. Maybe y'all can help each other out. You got, have a coach, somebody to kind of help you like walk through it as well. So and just do a little bit at a time, just so we can spend some quality time with the money. Let's see what's going on.
Money is it's a symbol. It's a tool. A tool. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a tool. It's not an indicator of your value as a person, whether you have it or don't have it.
Yes.
Right? It's not an indicator of your goodness or your deservingness. Right. It's a tool out in the world.
Yeah.
But if we have this negative relationship with this tool because of previous trauma, we can't use it to its fullest extent. And sometimes it becomes, instead of a tool, instead of us being able to use it as a tool, it becomes like a problem.
A stress, a burden, like a heavy load, like all these different things. It actually will cause more problems, in our lives because we're not utilizing it as a correct tool, shall I say.
Great. Okay. So you gave us a few examples of what past money trauma might look like. It might look like a relationship that broke down over money, right? Yeah. It might look like a death in the family that then turned into a big money fight.
Yeah.
It might look like job loss, right? Mm-hmm. I think another example of money trauma that we probably experience without even recognizing it is pay inequality.
Yes. Yeah.
Being Black women and always being told that what we do is worth less than what other people do, even when it's 1-to-1, that we get paid significantly less than other people. I think that's probably also a piece of money trauma that we experience and then take on as reality.
Right.
And then for the rest of our lives, we believe that what we do is worth less and who we are is worth less. And that we're supposed to be always trying to prove ourselves, always doing twice as much for half as much.
Yes.
I think that's another piece of money trauma that we've all experienced.
Yes.
We have to work through and heal from.
Yes. No, I agree. Like the pay inequality is a huge thing. And particularly for Black women, I would say, that we notice that. And then I think when you go into the job loss period, it almost feels like you did all of this hard work working for this company. And then it was like minimized and it was dismissed and so easily, devalued, makes it even harder because you thought that what you were doing mattered. And then so quickly, they were able to get rid of you. And so that puts another like kind of bruise on our identity. Like, who am I now, because of that?
That's right. You said the words. You said minimized, dismissed, devalued.
Yes.
Okay. So this is exactly where Black women are finding themselves today.
Yeah.
Through no fault of our own, right? This is where we are. So you've seen the numbers. 300,000 Black women are out of work just this year. So, and like,
we're not
it's only September.
Okay. We're not even done with the year. I'm like, ooh, what else?
And I think that number came out even in late July. I think that was a late July stat, right? 300,000 Black women out of work, 300,000 white men have new jobs. 300,000 Black women have no jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so someone with some experience in the past with money trauma, how is she doing today? How is she feeling in this world, in this environment today?
Yeah. So that minimized, devalued, feeling is huge, right? Because you start to like question yourself, right? Like, a lot of times when we're in a state, so in psychology, there's something called like learned helplessness where you can kind of feel helpless. Right. And I think like sometimes when you're in a learned helpless state, you sometimes go internal versus recognizing it should be external. Like you think like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? And that's not the way to think of this in this situation. You have to see it external, like what was going on with that job, this environment, what's going on with this world, because when we take it internal, it leads us to in that more depressive state. Right. We start to like get down on ourselves and you want to see that this isn't you. There was nothing wrong with you. There was nothing wrong with your talents, your skills, your abilities. You still have those. Those are still intact. That is still available to you. Right. I think people need to remember they're still available just because you're not at that job using them. They're still there for you. And they can be used in different ways. Right. And so I think that's very important for people to understand. And this is happening like everywhere. It's not just happening to you. Right. I think that's important for you to recognize that this is kind of this global situation. And it's not just, happening in your life. Right. So you don't want to take the self-esteem hit and end up developing a negative view of who you are just because this has happened to you.
That's right. So a thing that I see women who have had some money trauma in the past, a thing that I see them struggle with is when there's no new money coming in, they catastrophize. Even when they have some cushion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Black women who have spent, who have taken a lot of time to save and invest.
Yeah.
And have created some buffer for themselves. Still don't deal well with not having new money come in.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's scary. Right. Of course, because what you're used to, right, is something that you're unfamiliar with. Right. You're used to like, being able to hustle for some money in some type of way. And so that can be a little, a little fear based, and people around you may increase your fear. Right. As well. But I think that's why, we kind of, as we'll talk about the emergency money plan later. But we realize, hey, this is a 911 situation. People need to know like what to do when this happens, right? And to get like a positive perspective on what's really happening, like not develop that fear when you do have a cushion. The cushion is available to you. So let's like, get more clear on your on finances. And that's why looking at the numbers are so important. And I know people don't like to do it. I know it, right? Like people don't like to do it. But when you actually look at your financial numbers, you be like, oh, I'm not as bad as what I thought that I was, right? So I think that's important. But then also another thing, I just realized a lot of people do this we're definitely going to teach about prioritizing what to pay. Okay. Because sometimes, like, let's say you're at your current job and you were in a debt elimination plan. You're like, I'm getting rid of all this debt. That's where you were, right? Now you've lost your job. That's not where you are anymore. right? So don't continue to live in like, let me hurry up and pay down all this debt. We need to prioritize your surviving and living costs, right? And so sometimes we have to shift that mentality of where we were at that time, like, and we can actually, like, as you look at the numbers, you can say like, oh, wow, I was actually paying, I don't know, $600 in credit card debt. Now I don't need to do that. I can lower what I was doing there. And now it gives me a little bit more cushion to have more time to find another job, grow a business, whatever it is that I was looking for. That's why looking at the numbers actually creates freedom, even though everybody else sees fear, right? Like it actually is going to give freedom if you can see what's going on.
So let's talk about what you put together for Black women. So can you talk to us about your emergency money plan for job loss masterclass?
Yes. So Dr. Kamani and I, you probably have seen us before on Stephanie's channel. Like we are some vets to Stephanie's channel at this point. But Dr. Kamani, who's also a licensed clinical psychologist, as well as, me, who's a financial psychologist, we've come together literally on a 911. Right. We don't normally even do this. We do like a financial masterclass for people who are leaving toxic jobs. But we were like, it needs to be an emergency. And so we call it the emergency money plan for job loss. Okay. And so we're going to be doing it on Thursday, October 2nd. So soon. And it's going to be at 4 p.m., Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And we're going to spend about 2 hours with a group of people who join, and we're going to cover a lot in the 2 hours. Okay. And so we're going to end up making sure that we cover building immediate financial clarity. Okay. So we're going to understand the numbers. Like I was saying, prioritize the essentials. Like what do we need to focus on? And developing like an understanding of like, what is your survival number? Right? How you were living number is different than your survival number. Okay. Let me be clear. Right. Because sometimes we think about lifestyle only, like your lifestyle is going to change just for a little. Okay. So not your lifestyle number, but my survival number.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to get clear on that. We're going to develop like, ways to communicate urgency to even your bills and your companies. So a lot of times people avoid, right? We talk about avoidance is definitely a clear area of emotional trauma. Yeah. And so we don't communicate to our utility companies, our landlords or, or the mortgage companies on the fact that we're in a financial hardship, right? Because we don't want to accept that that's where we are. And identifying that and being able to communication is key in all kind of areas. Remember relationship, right? Like if you're able to communicate, a lot of these companies have financial like hardship, like funds, they understand what's happening for you. And so we can help you like, make sure that you're communicating that clearly to them.
Okay.
As well. Okay. And then the last main component is cultivating just some healthy coping skills, right? We're both psychologists here. And so I want, it is stressful, right? And we understand that this is a stressful time and we want to acknowledge what that emotion is, right? But we don't want to go back into like negative, like coping skills, right? That may make the problem worse, right? And so what, like I say, like a lot of people don't have money problems, they have stress management problems.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so when your stress is high, we're more likely to want junk food, crave junk food, right? And want to dine out and eat out, right? We're more likely to, if you have a different vice, you want to drink a little bit more, you want to smoke a little more, right? You may want to do some retail therapy just to kind of like numb yourself, right? From what you're feeling. And so we're going to teach you some skills to not do that. Like, let's not go into that numbing. Let's not make the problem worse, right? What can we do to make this, reframe it and see it in a more positive area, right? You may not have liked that job anyway. Now we got a moment, right? Like you've been free. But like, how do we handle that at this point?
Good. Okay. So this masterclass is October 2nd. Friends, the link to the masterclass is in the description of this video. All right. So if you know that whether you recently lost the job or not, I think if you still may be at work, but still facing a potential loss, or you may just want to prepare. I think, yeah. And if you need some clarity, if you need to get clear on some numbers, if you need to know what action steps you can take, and if you need to get your mindset together
Yes.
so that you don't fall into negative patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the link to the masterclass is in the description of this video, okay? The emergency money plan for job loss is available for you. If if you happen to be watching this after October 2nd, still go to the link in the description. You can check out the replays. I
Yes.
believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We normally have replays. I'm sure we'll have the replay available for everybody. Or you guys can, just get the replay for the financial masterclass that we normally do. This one is
Okay.
specific one.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you said this was a 911, right? This was an
911.
emergency response to an emergency situation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't, I
not
was saying,
happening. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. I was saying earlier today, I haven't had any conversation with a Black woman that's been more than 3 minutes long where we haven't talked about specifically 300,000 Black women being out of work.
Exactly.
It's a harsh time. It's a stressful time. It's a
Hmm.
scary time. But
Yeah.
you're right that some women will be set free
Yes.
during
Yeah.
this time. Some
Yeah.
women will be able to um, take a look at their numbers,
Hmm.
right? And decide that, listen, actually, I'm done working.
Right.
Or at least, actually, I'm done working for somebody else or something.
Yes.
This times like this can lead to a breakthrough
Yes. Yeah.
if we address them instead of curling up on the sofa. Because here's what old Stephanie would be doing, right? Curl up on the
Right.
sofa, eating McDonald's every meal, plus
Yes.
plus Dairy Queen, McDonald's
Right.
plus Dairy Queen every meal, and
Yes.
also buying things I couldn't afford. That's
Yes.
old. That's a way that I would
Yes.
cope in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and not to say that you don't get to feel your feelings, right? And so I'm
Right.
all about feeling them, like
Right.
you get to feel shocked and feel, like feel even some depressed. I believe depression is restorative if
Okay.
used correctly, right? It shouldn't be something that we stay in forever. But if you decide, hey, I'm off, I'm taking 2 weeks to just be with me, numb out, like that's okay. Right. But then we have to create a plan. Like
Okay.
after that, we don't want to
Okay.
stay in there, forever. Like we need to say, like, what am I going to do next at this point? But you probably have been working for this company for, I don't know how many years, and you have
Mhm.
not given yourself a break, right? You have not practiced any self-care. You
Mhm.
haven't rested. Let me just rest, right? Like you
That's
probably have
right.
not done that. Like your mind hasn't been able to rest. You may have been on even when you weren't even at that job, thinking
Mhm.
about what you have to do the next day and always focusing on, all these tasks and demands. You need some time to really decompress from that life and who you used to be, And so
Mhm.
I think that in that, what we consider maybe that depressive moment is really
Mhm.
just decompression moment, right? To release who you used to be at that job, right?
Okay.
And then we can kind of discover a little bit about who you're going to be now.
How can someone know if she's in that mode right now? How can she know if
Yeah.
she's been there too long? How does she know if she's diving into a pit instead of it being restorative, it's dangerous?
Yeah, I would say it. So in time, I'll say like we just look at time.
Okay.
If you're in it for like 2 weeks or so, like going past 2 weeks, I would be like, wait a minute, let's start to like look and see what's going on. So from a time perspective, we can look at that.
Okay.
Then I would say it can be from like what's happening in your other relationships, right? Because this one experience could end up going into other situations, right? So if you notice yourself saying, I'm isolating, I'm no longer even hanging out, with my friends anymore. And even just because you used to do brunches and you had to spend money, right? You can go on walks, like still, because social connection is extremely important for our mental health. Right. And so you can still decide like, hey, I can go on a walk. I can go, visit my friend at her home, so if you notice yourself, you're isolating and you're going even more so inward, then
Okay.
that also is like another sign, like something's wrong. If you're in partnership, you notice that you're not communicating as well. Maybe you're more irritable, snappy, agitated, with that person. now we're shifting, right? If that person is constantly telling you something's wrong with you, go get some help. Like after a while, start thinking like, hey, I've been hearing that a lot. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something to what they're saying, right? So start recognizing if that's starting to happen to you, because maybe you're kind of like, you're in like going into the sunken place, right? Like you're going too far in. So look at your other relationships, and that's how you really can tell that, it's been too long that you've been in this place.
Okay. The woman who recognizes herself in that last example, right? Relationships are suffering. Is the masterclass a good place to go? Is she too advanced? Like, is she too deep in it for this masterclass to be helpful?
I believe that the masterclass is still helpful for you, because then it's going to help you say, oh, how do I get out of it? Because we don't even know, we're going to kind of go back through recognizing like where you are. And so you're like, okay, this is where I am. Now, what do I do? Right. Because it's one thing to know it, but if you don't know how to get out, it doesn't help. Right. And some people a lot of people may be there and say like, I know I'm depressed and I'm in the sunken place. Right. But I don't know what to do. And so the master class is just more so giving you some immediate strategies on how to get out. Right. What do I need to do now? How do I start to, increase my mood, so I'm not in that kind of place. Let me not start to externalize this, arguing with my partner or friends, family, all of that. I would even say, I was to think about boundaries, because what happens is that if you were especially Black women, in my experience, Black women who are professionals, everybody around them, they're often responsible for other people, right?
Yeah.
So other people are used to you working too for their lives, right? Like, even if we talk about more of the sandwich generation, right? Your kids need you, but also your parents need you, or siblings, all kind of things, also need you. And so when you lose your job, all of them are shifting on how to see you too, right? Because they're so used to maybe going to you, asking for something, asking for money, asking for, you may be taking care of them. That a lot of people are, find themselves taking care of them, even adult children, right? Still, needing that. And so now you have to start to assert levels of boundaries with them that you may have never needed or even wanted to assert before.
Right.
Right. And so we have to kind of shift in that dynamic as well.
Yeah, I can imagine that's very upsetting to a woman who has found like a badge of honor in being able to help other people, maybe like to help support her kids who are not financially on their feet yet.
Right.
And I can imagine that having to now say, I've got to draw a line here, can be very upsetting to her.
Yes.
And can be a thing that can really cause a spiral in her emotional state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's this identity. I think this identity and self-esteem aspect is the hardest part, right? The finances stuff that is the practical, but really us kind of figuring that identity, like what's going on with us, is the part that we really, we're going to focus on, but I'm going to give you the practical stuff. Because people need to know the practical.
Yes,
Most of us live in this world where we never learn practical, right? We don't, we definitely don't practice it if we do learn it. So we're really going to figure out how do you give you simple steps to make sure you start practicing the things that, we're learning.
Good. I want to say again, Dr. Rocher and Dr. Kimani, who are hosting the Emergency Money Plan for Job Loss Masterclass, are licensed clinical psychologists, licensed clinical therapists. They're not no shade to your homies, okay? But they're not just your homies who are like, girl, do this, do that.
Yeah.
They have experience, and they are going to create, or they always do, create an environment that is healing in addition to helpful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Add this other component, because in the masterclass, we did this in the financial masterclass, and we were thinking we should do this here. So even privacy, we're going to make sure that, it's more of the webinar platform. Maybe you don't want to, express all your frustration and everybody knows what happened to you, or different things like that. So we are going to keep the level of confidentiality, there as much as possible. We often tell people, change your names in the chat. You can't, we'll turn off the chat so people can't see certain things, just to make sure you feel safe in the environment.
Good. That's wonderful. Okay, very good. So one of the things that you said that helps us is
Mhm.
to not look at this thing not to internally blame yourself, but look externally. Look externally at what caused the situation, but also look externally at where you are. And you told us that we haven't lost I hope you can't hear all those horns blowing outside. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That we haven't lost, even if you've lost the job, you haven't lost your talent, you haven't
Yeah.
lost your skills, you haven't lost your abilities.
Yes.
And I want to add in, you also haven't lost your network, probably,
Yeah.
right? There's still some people out in the world who know what a wonderful job you do at doing X, Y, Z. And those
Yeah.
people can, just like your networks help you get a job, they can help you get the next job.
Yes.
Or just
Exactly.
like your network helps you launch one thing, they can help you launch another thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So you, Dr. Rocher, are a person who I think is a good example of how to balance. So I believe you have a traditional job,
Yes.
right? Okay. Your therapist job is a traditional
Yes.
job, but then you also have income that you bring
Yes.
in from the other things that you do that are not related to your traditional job,
Yes.
that mean that you have less, I'm guessing, right?
Okay.
Mean that there is less fear and worry going forward for
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
than there would be for someone who only makes their income through a traditional employer, even though we think of a traditional employer as being the most stable
Right.
income.
Yeah. Yeah. We always talk about multiple streams, or you hear people, talk about multiple streams. You say rivers, right? Like, you like
River.
rivers. And I think it's so important, to have. That's why we have multiple, right? Multiple doesn't even mean you don't have to even have all seven. People say have seven, have two, have three, just don't have one. Right? Just don't have one. So I'm more of a hybrid, right? So I have a traditional job. I don't work 40 hours a week because I don't believe in giving that much of my time. But I am a psychologist and I work 2.5 days a week, which is 20
Oh,
hours.
good.
Right. And then it gives me the time and even the structure to have my business. Right. So entrepreneurship is not made for the weak. Okay. So just
Yeah.
want to be very clear. Right. Like, I know everybody's saying like start your own business, start your own business. That's why it's good to have the balance. Right.
Yeah.
Because it is something that, takes time to grow. But not only just growing in clients, but growing in you, right? If you're used to being like a 9 to 5 worker, you may not be good at structuring your own time, right? So having an abundance of time does not mean an abundance of productivity. And I
No,
think
it does
people,
not.
right? So
I'm a
you guys can
witness.
be off work, right? And watch all Netflix series, you know what I mean? Like, and not have done anything. Okay. So
Okay.
because that is the case, right? You need to like learn how to structure yourself, right? Like
Mhm.
how to give yourself the time you were giving a job, right? Like giving yourself tasks, like these are the tasks that must be completed today. The way you used to do to your job, you
Yes.
have to, have the same level of commitment and guarantee to yourself. And it actually takes time, I think, emotionally to grow into that.
Okay.
And so, people need to take that, kind of grow into that. But I think now you guys have time for that, right? Like, so now you're not working. You have some time to say like, okay, how do I grow in doing one task? Usually when people are just getting started, I often will tell them, let's take out, like, let's do a month at a time. And what are like the 2 tasks we're going to complete this month? Right? Not to even overwhelm yourself with too many things, right? Like, and this is what our goal is, like having some metrics to kind of measure yourself against. Like,
Okay.
I've made it to this part, right? I've gotten 1 client, I've gotten 2, I've gotten 3, or I've created a YouTube, I create whatever you're looking for, right? A lead generation area. You want to just kind of have like a task and you want to complete that task and then kind of go to the next one after that. Right.
How did you decide
Mhm.
as a licensed clinical psychologist,
Yeah.
there are like guidelines about what you can't do
Yeah.
outside of that, right?
Uh-huh.
So how did you decide what your business was going to be and how you were going to structure it?
Yeah. So what actually happened, so it was about 9 years ago is when I added this like
Okay.
extra component. So I was I had a traditional job and I had a private practice. Well, technically I was a psychologist in my private practice as well.
Okay.
And what ended up happening is like clients were really coming in with financial issues. So I found myself saying, you know what, I just need to teach them how to budget real quick. I know this is not
Okay.
traditional psychology, but it was just coming up, right? Like what their needs were, at that time, where like a couple was having a problem, they both seeing money in different ways. And that was really the tension that was happening. So I was like, let me just start teaching practical stuff. So that's how it initially started, was let's get the practical together. And then it just built from there, right? Where like, I started to have, some courses for people that people were interested in. And, Dr. Kamani and I, Dr. Kamani always talks about how she was one of my clients.
Mhm.
And I wasn't trying to become a job liberator. Like that was not my intention to help
Uh-huh.
Black women leave their job. That wasn't even what we were initially talking about. We were just talking about money trauma and learning how to learning better about how to manage your money is really what we're
Okay.
talking about. But then we recognized one of her goals was to leave the toxic job.
Right.
And so we created a plan to make sure that happened. And that has resulted in, of course, her having, Job Liberation Summit, her YouTube growing, her meeting you, like it's grown into so much. And so then now I have tons of clients, from that are moving from different countries. I mean, like my whole world has shifted, right? because
Uh-huh.
like I have clients in Thailand and Costa Rica and Panama. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Like the world shifted. And people are like, well, how do I leave the country? How do I leave? Like, so things just kind of grown into something different over time. And what I was able to do in my current job, I only work Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And so I was able to make sure Monday and Fridays usually are my like main days that I like focus on doing coaching calls and finance. And so that helps me structure myself better.
Okay.
If I didn't have a job, I don't know, honestly, how structured I would be. Like I would probably be the Netflix series and be like, oh my God, what just happened? So I would probably be that person. I had to work because it just helps me even to use their time to do other things that are for my
Yeah.
business.
True.
What I mean? It helps better for me to focus that. You let your current job fund your life, and fund your business to grow as
Yeah.
well. And so that's kind of helped me.
Yeah. So then your clients on your job helped inform what could be your business. My
Yes.
theory is that you can't get to adulthood as a Black woman without having something that you could take out into the economy and
Yes.
say, here's what I offer in the world that is separate from my job. You
Yes.
can't, I have not yet met an adult Black woman without some skill set or some ability or something that people come to her
I
for
agree.
that
Yes.
she could not turn into her own thing, so
Yes.
that you then have a different sense of security. My sense of security now, being able to make a dollar without an employer,
Mhm.
is, well, it's secure. I feel a sense of
More secure, right? Because it's about you, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. I don't need the employer in order
Yeah.
to make an income.
Yeah.
And that feels really good, whether I
Yeah.
had an employer or not. Even if I had an employer today, it would still feel amazing to know that I could walk away when I want to,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
that I can even really increase my income. So what I've done is I was a hospital pharmacy technician. I made $22 an hour. So I made about $46,000 a year.
Mhm.
And I've been able to at least triple that for the last 3 or 4 years. I've taken the ceiling off of my income
Yes.
by trying, by putting my thing out into the world.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is where a sense of security comes from that working
Mhm.
in the hospital was never going to give me.
Oh, I agree. It's same. For me, I've been able to make so much more money. Actually, I make more money in my business than I actually do at my job.
Yeah.
But even as I see things change at the job, right? Because even though we're talking about layoffs and everything, you feel that environment before it actually shows up. Right.
Okay.
You hear things happening in the management. You hear people, putting more demands on you. And so even at my job, I can see when things are shifting and changing, but I don't feel the fear that other people feel at the job who only have that as the only job. Just give you even context. A couple of years ago, my job was on a strike, and they were on a 10-week strike.
Ooh.
10 10 weeks. Okay. That is like over 2.5 months.
That's 3 mortgage payments, right?
Yes.
or rent payment.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. And most people are not able to like manage staying off that long. And the concept of a strike is that you need people to stay off, right? In order for it to actually, have the power that it needs to, create, change. And so at that time, I had my business and I was fine. I always say I didn't miss a meal or a bill. Okay. Like I was doing good. I was able to make more money during that time because I was out. I was like, let me go to the little picket line and go network. So I'm going to pick. So I'm networking with people like out there. We making fun TikToks. It was a fun experience for me. And I even had an extra money to be able to go to put inside of the fund. There's like a little fund so people can stay off of work. They would put money there. I actually gave individual money to, coworkers who I knew because I wanted them to be able to stay off for longer. I had money to be able to help them with bills. Right. And so that's the power of having other streams of income, is that it not only blesses your household, right? It can even bless other people. Like, that's what abundance to me is when you're in the more than enough, right?
Yes.
It's not just enough for me, but it's more than enough to even be able to help other people.
That's right. So it is possible for us to go from an experience of money trauma to operating in abundance and receiving in abundance.
Yes.
But first, I think you got to deal with the trauma.
Yes.
Right. We don't see people out in the world who are like, here's some terrible things that happened with me. I never dealt with them, but I'm fine now. Everything is great now. I never dealt with these things. I never addressed them. But listen, life is breezy today.
Right.
That's not how things work. That's not how trauma works.
Not at all. You got to deal with.
So what does abundance? How would you, as a money person, how would you describe or define financial abundance? What would that look like?
Yeah. So financial abundance to me is like when it's really more of a feeling around your finances more than a number. Right. I think that knowing the numbers is extremely important, but it's when you feel more at peace. I know enough is coming in to take care of all of my bills. Enough is coming in to be able to take care of my lifestyle, right? I'm big. I mean, if you want to eat out every day, do it as long as you make enough money. Okay. Like, I have no problem with you living the way you want to live. Just know how much it costs and make sure that you're doing it. Like, you're bringing it in before you have it go out. Right. So I believe it's that peace. My pastor actually says, peace is having a mind at ease, even when things are not easy.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's where we want to be, in that state of like peace. And so financial abundance is that peace. It's like feeling like, joy. It's not having that level of shame and guilt, just like sticking around all the time. But you're feeling joy, you're feeling happy and positive. And that's what I really look at, like when you're in abundance, you feel good about what you're doing. You don't feel restricted as much, right? Like, I like you, if you want to travel, you like, okay, I have a plan. Plan is important. Okay. Like, you have a plan to go out and make that happen. Right. I think those things are really like move you to the level of abundance. It's just not having so much level of stress around finances.
I really like that description of ease, even when things aren't easy.
Yes.
Because there's, truth be told, if you're not healed or healing, there's no amount that would be enough. There's no magic abundance number. I don't care. Even if Susie Orman tells you need $10 million to retire, even $10 million is not enough if you're not healed, if the trauma is still in charge and guiding your decisions, and like predicting your future. Your trauma tells you what your future is going to be until you shut that up, right? Until you heal from it. Your trauma's like, here's what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to steal all your money. They're going to do this. They're going to do that's everything. It's going to crash.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to lead, right? Until you heal. There's no number that is abundant, but it's in a piece that you have to feel in you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Years ago, I was like, I don't know, I like to write. I love notebooks and I love to write things down. And I was like, I'd like to write down my financial abundance number, right?
Yeah.
Before I came to this understanding, I was like, what is a number of money, right? An income amount or a pot of cash that would make me feel like abundance. And I couldn't come up with a number. What I came up with was some activities. When I go to the grocery store and I buy vanilla extract without looking at the price.
Yes.
And I use that vanilla extract liberally. Okay. Yes. I pour it in my coffee. I pour it in my tea. I put it in my oatmeal. I put it in my pancake mix.
Yes.
When vanilla extract is flowing freely in my life, I know that I have reached abundance.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Yes.
I couldn't come up with a number because prices change, prices go up and things change.
But I was and your lifestyle can change. I mean, even, as you talk about people, going to a different country, like the number can shift like so much, right? So no, I love that vanilla extract and everything.
Girl. And then, like you said, I went to Mexico. And then Costa Rica, and now I live in Colombia. Now this is my apartment. I'm in Bogota, Colombia, right? Nice. And the vanilla extract flows freely. Some of that is because it costs a lot less down here.
The thing, I mean, you've given people like, I guess the freedom or actually even just exposure to know that that's possible. That's right. That your life can be greater somewhere else that we didn't even know even existed for us, And so that's why I love, like, when I hear, people from your channel who may have, jumped on a one-on-one with me or something. And I'm just like, wow, what kind of life? I'm like, maybe I should, I'm looking for places to go with my family. I mean, people have gone, to live with their family, young kids,
that's right.
Starting a whole world. I was like, wow, this is amazing for Black women. I just didn't even know, what was possible either.
That's right. So Dr. Joy Harden Bradford calls it possibility models. The Dr. Joy is the Therapy for Black Girls founder.
Oh,
and she calls them possibility models. And I believe in that. I believe in that. Sometimes you just have to see it to know it's possible. And so when your client, what I wrote down is my note for you was visit your clients in Thailand. So when your clients are in Thailand, in Grenada, in wherever they are in the world, and you want to hop on a flight and go visit them, that's going to make living there even more possible for you and your family. It's really sometimes just seeing it and then getting yourself in that environment just for a little while, dip your toes in the water, opens up all the possibilities for you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, people even, I mean, I've been amazed at what people have now been able to do, just because you've given them exposure, to it. And they're like, okay, now I'm doing it. Like they know exactly how much they need in it, to make it happen. Some people are going for the first time and just going to live. They haven't even, there's people who don't even just like go and check it out first. They just like, I believe I've done all the research. I did all the YouTubes and I'm just going to go live there. I'm like, what? Like, it's amazing and doing well.
Cause like, even if you get there and you're like, oh, you know what? This city is not really for me. You just go somewhere else, right? We're free. It's our world. It's our world.
Yes.
That's right. I love that. I love seeing it. I'm doing it. And I also love seeing other people do it. It's amazing. Right. It's what we deserve. It's what we deserve.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So keep me posted on your trip. Let's go visit some of these people. See what life is like.
That would be my plan, is just to visit them and okay, take me around how to live like a normal person, not a vacation person, right? Like, what does that look like?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. So friends, I do want to point you to another resource. So we talked about the Emergency Money Plan for Job Loss Masterclass that's happening October 2nd. Again, the link is in the description of this video. Register for that masterclass if you need to get some clarity on some things. If you need to get some numbers down. What is my actual survival number? How do I even determine that? If you need to get a plan to communicate with the people you need to communicate with, the people, the businesses, the organizations, how do you get this plan together? And if you need to improve your coping skills, right? Register for the masterclass. I also want to point you to Exodus Summit 2025, More Move Abroad Money. If you think your pathway to your future abundance number, right? Your pathway to money is likely you creating something of your own, right? Creating a business or starting consulting, starting freelancing, starting virtual assistant work or something. If you think that your pathway for the future for money in abundance is you trying something on your own, register for Exodus Summit 2025, More Move Abroad Money. This is our 6th year for Exodus Summit. What we do is we bring in speakers who make money a particular way, and they teach you how to start making money that way. Arlen Hamilton is coming in to do a session on memberships and community for profit, right? For pay, how to host membership communities, membership spaces, and make income doing those things. We have a session on teaching abroad, whether you're a teacher today or not. Okay, we have a session on teaching abroad. If you think that a non-traditional pathway of working is your pathway for the future going forward, register for Exodus Summit 2025 at exodussummit.com. Of course, the link is in the description. So these two things, the masterclass and Exodus Summit, pair well together if you want to address things where they are today, right? Stop the bleeding, right?
Yes.
The actual physical money bleeding, right? And also the internal screaming, fear, worry, depression, right? If you want to stop do some 911 work, right? And you want to work towards a future where this is not necessarily where you kind of future-proof yourself. These two go well together, okay? The links are in the description of this video. Both of these are created by Black women, for Black women, taught by Black women. Because Black women are all of us, Dr. Kimani, Dr. Rosché, me, Rashida, my business partner, all of us wholeheartedly believe that Black women are the best people.
Yes.
But we also know that Black women are the least supported, right? We're expected to do the support work. We're expected to do the uplifting work. And we created our spaces to instead support and uplift.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to add to the component of investing in you, right? Like, please invest in yourself, right? So taking these, like, the masterclass and going to the summit, these are investments in you, right? And so that means that they have returns, right? Yeah. When you invest, you have a return that comes, back to you. So make sure that you see it as an investment and not like another expense. This is not like going out and buying something, you know what I mean? Like, buying some clothes that it doesn't matter, right? This is an investment in you. So your future will be okay, right? Nobody's going to take care of your future self, but your current self. So
that's true. Sure I tell myself that all the time. And I'm like, do it for future Stephanie when I don't want to open up my bank account and see what's there. And I don't want to get a handle on the money. I'll be like, but future Stephanie will really, she'll appreciate that so much.
Appreciate you. Yes. Yes.
I hope she does. My money trauma is as a child, what I remember about money is one time my mom, I had a little wallet and my mom gave me what I believe was a $20 bill. And this was in probably like 1982. Okay. She gave me a $20 bill. It was money. That was money. Okay. And we went to the mall and I left my wallet in a dressing room somewhere. We
Oh.
got home and I told my mom and I said, oh, well, easy come, easy go. And Connie Perry said, not easy come.
No.
I worked for that money. Okay? My money trauma comes from me being an irresponsible person. And
Yeah.
my mom set me straight about that money. I
Yeah.
heard all about what it took to make that money, to
Money.
bring
Yeah.
that money home, to put that money in that wallet, for me to then
Yeah.
just be like, easy come, easy go. I have been an avoidant. I think I've been an avoidant money person from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so that is my money trauma story. I
Yeah.
have, and so in, I have been, my money trauma means that I sometimes treat money like, it's just going to magically show
Yeah.
up. No, Stephanie, you got to look at the bank accounts, look
Yeah.
at your investment accounts, get a handle on things. Don't sign
Yeah.
this lease until you understand how much money this really is.
Yes. Right. Right.
Treat it like it's real, please.
Just slow down, pause, like for a moment, and check it out. Check it out.
'Cause,
Yeah,
girl, not easy come, easy
financial
go.
health day. Kind of just look at what's going on. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to do that once a quarter now.
Yeah.
I know a lot of business owners, as a business owner, I should probably do it a little more often, but once a quarter is good for me because it
Yeah.
could be once a year or never.
Exactly. Yeah. I always tell as frequently as you can is good. But I tell people at least do once a year. The business
Okay.
owners are just regular people. People don't look at
Yeah.
their 401ks. They don't look at life insurances. They don't look at nothing that's financially oriented in their lives. And you just go look, see what's happening. If you look at one of your stocks and you're like, wow, it's down. Wow, it's up. Whatever it is, just have a wow moment. Just take a moment to see what's going on.
All right. So, Dr. Rocher, we have talked about the trauma. We have talked about the we've talked about the abundance on the other end,
Mhm.
and how you don't get to that end unless you work out the trauma.
Yes.
Okay. We've pointed people to some resources. We've talked about you going to Thailand.
Yes.
Is there anything you feel like we didn't cover today?
I think that's pretty much it. Dr. Kamani and I are always having master classes for people in leaving their toxic jobs. And so we'll talk about that when we're closer to that area. But this one was our 911 emergency plan. If you've already lost your job, this is for you, right? If you are fearful that a job loss is on the horizon, this is for you. And we wanted to just make sure we just kind of put something together that can give you what you need, to move forward.
Thank you very much for that. It is a heavy time, right?
Yes.
It's a heavy time for Black women. So thank you both for putting this 911
Yes.
session together for us, for Black women, so that we're not out here, stranded out here on our own. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And thank
scary
you.
to be by yourself.
It's scary. It absolutely is. There is strength in numbers, and there is connection and community in numbers.
Yeah.
Everything feels better with other people, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's just, oh, woe is me.
Right.
Even that is better in
Yeah.
community.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for coming and sharing again with my audience. I appreciate you as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I'll, of course, link to Dr. Rocher's resources in the description of this video. Go ahead and go there. All the good stuff is there. Even if you're watching on TV, you can still open up your phone, go to this YouTube video, and find the resources there for you. Okay, we'll see you in the masterclass and in Exodus Summit. October is going to be a good month for you. Things are going to be looking up for you.
Yeah.
Once you do these things in October, okay, it's going to be better.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.